Welcome to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot, and it's the Open Championship. It's a highly anticipated week. Rory McIlroy is back. He's out swinging. Xander Schauffele, he's a perennial bridesmaid, and he's won the key lead-up in the Scottish Open. Tiger's on the attack. He's not happy with Greg Norman, and he's got plenty to say. I'm surprised he's still getting around, but it's going to be an action-packed week, and I think it's going to be hard and fast, and Tiger's there tweeting saying that the fairways are even faster than the greens. That news courtesy of Mike Dogga Caridi's Twitter feed. But Toprope, I'll introduce you first. You love controversy. Gee, golf's hot at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, I do love controversy. The only sad thing is there aren't too many coaches to sack, but aside from that, we've got plenty going on. Greg Norman was the big kind of news story this week. Most of the champions living champions were invited back there and had a special event to celebrate the 150th Open Championship at the home of golf. And see Greg not invited, and then a few pot shots being laid out by Rory and Tiger. It's a wonderful time to be a golf fan. Plenty to bet on too.
That's outstanding. And I don't know where Tiger sort of gets off, like just shelling out life advice and telling people where they can and can't earn. Like the damage that he's done from a brand perspective to the game of golf over his past. I know he's done a lot for the game, but on the flip side, he's also made a couple of boo-boos himself.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in maybe Tiger's diner waitress guide rather than his advice on how to be dishing out coin. Look, you can argue whether the money's good or bad. Yeah. How could you have a problem if you're Lee Westwood or Graham McDowell, who's never going to seriously contend for another major tournament again, and you get the opportunity to get paid at? Why would you not take it? Like, you'd be mad not to. I would have nothing but disrespect for you for not taking it. I think you'd be an absolute fool. So, good on them. And if it's hard to kind of get excited about people like Brooks, because Brooks has only ever cared about the majors. If he's going to get playing in the majors, so bet. So, look, there are one or two you can make a case for probably should have stayed, but. Each to their own.
I think it gives kids more opportunities to poke through. All of a sudden, they've got an extra tournament to qualify, and if the PGA fields are depleted, well, we're going to see younger talent get there faster. So I think it's a great thing for golf. Mike Dogga Caridi, he strikes me as a cool, calm customer, and I know he's been out playing recently. How do you feel about all this furor about the LIV tournament?
Yeah, probably a little bit in between both of you guys. If someone wants to take the coin and go, good luck to them. You can, can't anger at a bloke who's taken $150 million to go play golf just to turn up. But and you're right about the people that are getting those younger guys that are going to get a start now. I probably have the problem with the guys that have taken the 150 mil, then wanting to come back and cut off the guys that are the younger guys coming up from the bottom. So if you want to go do it. But yeah, you don't have to come back. Just go do your own thing. Go nuts. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we'll be the first on course if they can get a LIV tournament in Australia. I've got no doubt whatsoever. I think a little birdie marquee or some hospitality would suit us. Let's get on to the serious business. We've got Big Daddy first drop. He'll come in Ricky Ponting style. He's been in a few headlines recently, Big Daddy. Can find an edge and can find a rort. So I'm tipping for his last major, he'll be right on the money. I think he's got 4 more tournaments left for his sub, so you can get on board those for $44. But today's content's free, courtesy of TopSport, Punting Form, and Club Tech Golf. Dogga, I'll start with you. As I think Toprope alluded to, it's the 150th running of the Open Championship, and we're at St Andrews. What can you tell us about the old course?
Yeah, the old course. Well, I think everyone knows the home of golf. 460 odd years they've been playing there, or it's been a course. And I think a lot of people look at it as what the epitome of links golf is. So it's going to be very different to what, if you, I'm sure most of the people that are listening or watching have watched golf at St Andrews before. But if you haven't, it's a links course. It's in between the water and land, and it's going to be very open, very different. So no trees around. It's going to be very much affected by the weather. And the main things you're going to be contending with are going to be the bunkers, which are scattered there to do some damage to you, especially when the wind gets up, and the wind and the weather, which this week looks a bit light. Looks like it's going to be, so far, it's going to be a little bit benign, mid 20s weather for the Celsius, and wind probably around 20, 25 Ks, probably gusting up a little bit more. One of the things the pros will be watching and the caddies will be watching will be the tides, because the tides will affect that wind. And then heading out from the clubhouse and then coming back in, you could possibly catch headwinds out and in, depending on when those tides change. So there'll be a lot of the guys looking at it and then really having to have a think about, right, where am I going to hit this ball? If I'm hitting into a green, I'm going to need to allow for those winds to land on these massive greens. And then also off the tee, obviously. So you want to be making sure that if the ball's going to come off, you're allowing for the wind, but you're also allowing for some run out because you've got some hard and fast fairways, like you said, Scoot. And you really don't want to be in the bunkers because they are proper penalties. You're going to be copping at least one shot if you do end up in one.
It's funny because, in the past, you've seen just, the beanies on and just absolutely belting rain. So we might see some high scoring. And I've had a little bit of a look at the weather and I'm not very good at this. So I'd like you to tell me that I've found the right sort of angle. But it seems like the worst of the wind will come on the final day, which might make it a little bit treacherous late, so there could be some big trading opportunities if there's a bunch finish. It looks like the worst of the wind will be in the afternoon come Sunday.
Yeah, it's certainly a market and an event where you'd be watching to trade all the way through. I mean, effectively the wind, as much as we're looking at that weather and what it's going to look like now, it will change. It just absolutely will. So if you've got a line and you can see something in the market that you can take advantage of, you'd be mad not to, especially if you're seeing leaders that are out there that are going to cop it on Sunday, and you think someone can get a score and get in the clubhouse, they might be able to eat up 3 or 4 shots.
Outstanding. All right, let's have a look at the market. And it's pretty bang on at TopSport. The top sort of 10 or 15, all of these players have been winning tournaments all year. There's no real surprise packets, I would have said. Rory's the favourite into $10 at TopSport from 12. Xander Schauffele, as we mentioned, last start winner, $18. Spieth, who goes, finds a leg over here at $20. Matthew Fitzpatrick, $20. John Rahm, $21. JT, $21. Cam Smith, $22. Cantlay is $22. Scheffler, $22. Lowry, $22. Zalatoris, $29. Colin Morikawa, $31. And Dustin Johnson, $31. And then you got players like Tommy Fleetwood at $38. Tony Finau, $44. Nick Tedeschi's pin-up boy, Tyrrell Hatton, 44, and then you got Matsuyama at 48 with Sam Burns and Victor Hovland. Interesting little point about the Scottish Open. Generally, it's a bit of a nice guide. Is there any concern? Maybe I'll throw this out to you, Toprope. Have a listen to some of these names that didn't make the cut last week in the Scottish Open. I know you bet every week in the golf. You're an absolute victim of it. Does this worry you that these names missed the cut last week? And that's Scheffler, Morikawa, Zalatoris, Hovland, Stenson, and Matsuyama. What do you do with that information?
I like to see players play in the Scottish Open before, but I don't have a real issue about how well they're doing it. With Colin Morikawa last year, really struggled, tried a new putting technique last year, couldn't drain anything at the Scottish Open, and then come out and won the Open Championship. I would rather see them turn up. So obviously when you're hitting like JT and you're 10 over, there's a slight concern there. Probably another little bit of concern around those who don't have a huge experience on links courses, like maybe a Scottish Scheffler. But I'm not too fast. I certainly wouldn't rule any of them out based on last week's performance. In fact, I would prefer them to have played than to have not played.
Interesting one. All right, let's talk about Rory McIlroy, the favourite, and I might throw it to you first, Dogga. He seems to be on fire. He's giving out plenty of lip about the politics in golf, but he's backing it up with the wand. So he's in red-hot form, and is he justified favourite at $10?
Yeah, for me, he is. He's probably the one in my guide that comes up on top. No surprise, he's the favourite. He's had great form. He's probably playing some of the best golf he's played in a long time, and all the stats that I'm looking at are the ones that he's shining up in. So strokes gained approach and around the green and scrambling, he's really going quite well. And then also off the tee, he's hitting it well off the tee. He's ranked number 3 overall in the PGA Tour this year. His results have been good. He did skip the Scottish last week. He had a couple of weeks off after I think he played about 3 or 4 weeks straight on the PGA Tour, which is probably uncommon for him. But I think he's cherry ripe, and I think everything sets up for him pretty well this week. I've definitely got him on top.
Toprope, concur?
Justified favourite for mine. I won't be betting him this week. He's he's a little short in betting for my liking, but he's playing great golf. Kind of a bit of a niggle. He didn't play last week. That's a slight concern. He's excellent off the tee, which is a big guy for me. I'm kind of looking at strokes gained off the tee and total driving on that front. Obviously, he's a great ball striker. Par 4 scoring is another guy. He's top 10 on the PGA Tour. Little concern on the greens. Little concern didn't play last week. And the fact is, it's been a long time between drinks, and the pressure kind of builds with every major doesn't win. So for mine, happy to not bet him. Certainly kind of not keen to lay him, but happy to kind of shoulder arms on him.
The second in the market, Xander Schauffele. Thoughts about his last start win?
Schauffele's on fight. I he's played the hottest golf in the world, and kind of his profile heading into this is probably a little similar to Scotty Scheffler in heading to Augusta. Augusta's kind of talking of Augusta. It's certainly probably the preeminent kind of correlation course for me, even though they're obviously very different. Those who kind of do well at Augusta tend to do well at St Andrews. Look, he's another one, probably a lot like Rory. He comes up very high in my model. He is going to be right in the mix here. But for a guy who's never won a major, for a guy who, until a month ago was regarded as a bit of a non-winner, he seems a little short in betting for mine. So, again, shouldering arms on Schauffele, but obviously concede he's got a massive chance.
I've had him down in the non-winner column for the last 18 months, and it's just the hip pocket's just never recovered. I've learnt the hard way with Xander, and I'm not alone. I'm not the Lone Ranger there. Dogga?
Everything Toprope said concur with, but probably a little bit like you, Scoot. I've got a rule that if someone wins, I don't back him the next week because no one goes back-to-back. And this bloke won the Travellers, and then he went and played the JP McManus Pro-Am and won that, so I went back-to-back, and then he won on Scottish as well. They won effectively 3 kind of 2.5 tournaments in a row. And that's the only reason I won't be having a cent on him this week because, he stacks up really well, but he just can't win 3 in a row, surely.
He's just as likely to do something to really upset me. And I'm just happy for him to win without me. Jordan Spieth used to be an ATM. I think he goes really well in link-style golf. It's his putting generally. If his putting's on, he's a little bit like Morikawa. If he gets hot with the putter, is he in contention this week? Toprope?
Happy to like Jordan Spieth. In every way, it's just got too much, for lack of a better term, rubbish in his game at the moment. Like, the upside's obviously there when he's on fire, but there's just too much that can go wrong for him. And I think this week it's going to be a pretty low score. It's going to win the tournament. And I think you've got to kind of be on for 4 straight rounds. Well, ticks every box. Loves Augusta, great record in the Open. But at the price, absolutely couldn't have him. If I was laying one of the shorties, he'd be the one to be laying.
Doggy, you with him?
Probably not. I don't mind him this week. I probably agree with you, Scoot. His putter's been the problem, which is weird because I think we said last time around, if you think about Jordan Spieth, all you think of is a bloke that makes putts from all over the place. And, the last probably 18 months, it hasn't been the case for him. I feel like he putted reasonably well last week at the Scottish. He's finding form and he just grows another leg here in Europe. So for me, I've got him in my top 3 picks. Not sure whether I'll be outlaying on him too big, but I definitely think he's a big chance this week.
So on the fence there, Matt Fitzpatrick, I know Big Daddy's got this guy pretty short. I had a little squiz, little bo peep at his model. Bit of pressure here with this fella. To win an Open Championship would be massive, and to go back-to-back would be something else. What are your thoughts, Toprope?
Yeah, not sure the conditions are going to suit Fitzpatrick. He does his absolutely best golf when things are brutal. The harder it is, the better Fitzpatrick is. We were talking off air before, but on courses where par is excellent, Fitzpatrick's at his best. So when we saw that at Brookline, I've got not many knocks on him. He's ranks 3rd on the PGA Tour in scrambling, 10th in strokes gained off the tee, so kind of ticks a lot of boxes there. But it's going to be very, very difficult to kind of back up that US Open win. Look, again, I'm being very boring at the top of the show here, but not someone I'll be backing, but not someone I'll be looking to lay it.
Okay, let's get down to some of the nitty gritty. I think we need to hear you guys' top selections and best roughies, and then we might throw to Dogga's first round leaders after that. But lead us off, Toprope. Who's your best value pick and who's your best way?
Best pick, look, he's not a guy that I usually get into. He's not playing the best golf of his career, that's for sure, but I think everything suits Jon Rahm. I think he's got up to a very bettable price here at $21. Leads the PGA Tour, strokes gained off the tee, total driving, ball striking, 3rds, greens in reg, 10th par 4 scoring, has a top 5 at Augusta, has top 10s at the Open, has improved at every Open Championship start. Played last week, ticks all the boxes for mine. So for one of the first times in my life, I'll be backing John Rahm. Couple of mid-tiers and roughies I like. At some decent prices at around the kind of 80 to 90 to 1 shot. Two I'll be looking at Sung Jae Im and Corey Connors, a couple of strong ball strikers. Im in particular, fourth in par 4 scoring as well. Both got form at Augusta, both coming off kind of top 10s there. Both enjoy, Im enjoys desert golf as well. And from the roughy point of view, I'll throw out 2 names for you here. Probably the best of them, Seamus Power. The Irishman has really played well at the majors this year in his first year playing majors. Ranked second on PGA Tour, par 4 scoring, very good around the greens, a strong ball striker, and obviously kind of grew up playing a little links golf. And at a huge price, I think around 200 to 1, Keith Mitchell. Excellent off the tee, good around the greens. I think he will be well suited this week to St Andrews. So a couple of roughies there for you.
I'm just sitting here laughing because every time we do this, it's frightening how aligned Toprope and I am, because the 2 blokes that I've got out the paddock are Keith Mitchell at a massive price and Sung Jae Im at about 80. So he's already called those. So we're aligned there in the mid-tier and the roughies. For me, I really don't like betting the top end of the market. I hate taking favourites. And I think Rory stacks on top, but I just can't bet him at $10. So I'll put a line through him and I'll really be working around 3 guys. My number 1 pick will be Justin Thomas again, which makes
my God,
me extremely happy. He's strokes gained approach, he's scrambling, he's around the green, he's off the tee, does everything right. I think spending a bit more time with Tiger doesn't hurt, a little bit more thinking around this course, because he's really going to have to get a bit of imagination. I think that's probably the thing that hurts him on links courses. He just needs to get that imagination. And then after that, it's going to be the other guys that we've sort of talked about already, and Jordan Spieth. That I can see going pretty close to the top and going well.
Well, Dogga, I don't know what to say about that. I just hope Big Daddy doesn't come on and rubber stamp Justin Thomas. I'll throw up a little bit in my mouth, I think. But Rory on top. Justin Thomas is the value play with Spieth, and then you've got roughies in Sung Jae Im and Keith Mitchell, which line up with Toprope. And then Toprope's going to go Johnny Rahm at the $21. Sung Jae Im also with Corey Connors. Seamus Power is the 85 to 1 chance at TopSport, and Keith Mitchell is the bolster that you guys like at 200 to 1. And Toprope's lay was Jordan Spieth, so you guys might have to have a side bet there. And any big lays, Dogga, you're going to put the pen through someone at the top of the market?
Look, the one that I put the pen through, and again, it's not because they can't. I know people are going to look at this like it's a bit of a weird angle, but it's what I said before. I just Xander Schauffele, I'd put the pen through, because you just can't win 3 in a row. Simple as that. Like it just doesn't work that way. Golf just, unless you're Tiger Woods, it doesn't work that way.
Oh, that's music to my ears. I'm happy to put the pen through Xander as well. All right, Dogga. Historically, if you look at this deck, I think if you get away to a fast start and you're in the mix early, a lot of those, I'm not saying that you have to go wire to wire, but fast starters have got really good records in this tournament. So I'm very curious for your first round leaders. I know they're your forte, but I want you to say Cam Smith. I want you to just come out and say Cam Smith's a big chance to get off to a hot start, because I want to back him for the tournament. I think the wide open fairways will forgive that snap, wristy, hooky, bloody stuff that I do, and I can relate to him. I love the way he goes about it, and I think the bunkers and his putting, I think he can bounce back strongly. And I think he was all right last week in the Scottish Open. So tell me you're going to back Cam Smith to be a first-round leader, and tell me that he's going to be in the mix early. Give me confidence.
As usual, Scoot, I always have a very light go at these. I have 5 players that I pick, and it gives me something to watch on a Friday morning. So in no particular, I'll give you no particular order. So Cantlay at 34, Kurt Kitayama at 101, Minwoo Lee at 101, Seamus Power at 67, and my number 1 pick, Cam Smith, $38.
Yeah, there it is. I tell you what, you've made me happy. Are you legit there, or are you just pandering to me?
No, he was the first person I wrote down. When it comes to his round 1 scoring average is very good. he stacks up very well in this model. It wouldn't shock me to see him have a really good week. I'd love to see him have a good week. I'd love to see Leash have a good week and make up for the playoff miss. I'd love to see Scotty have a good week and make up for the capitulation. But I think, Cam's a really good chance to go well early.
Just my little Scooty's little model, Seamus Power and Cam Smith. If these guys can get out to a fast start, I tell you what, the boys like them. They like Seamus Power at least. I think they're the little sneaky ones, reading in between the lines and putting it into the magical computer of my mind, which is destined to fail at the final throws. Dogga, you've been sensational. You've been sensational all year, and it's amazing. You blokes are all over it all the time, but I've loved the banter. I know it's Toprope's favourite thing to do, but I'm going to have to give you the lemonade and sauce because I just can't fit all these egos into the same podcast. I need to make life easier for me to navigate and bounce between the 3 stars, Toprope, Dogga, and Big Daddy. But a big thanks from everyone, Little Birdie TV, and I'm sure you've helped the listeners out there jag a couple of winners. So thanks, Dogga, and I'm sure we'll see you soon again.
Enjoy.
All right, we're going to reshuffle the deck chairs and just take a 20-second break, and we'll have Big Daddy back on the other side of this break. But if you're a bit of a golfer, make sure you head to Club Tech. They're Melbourne's golf repair specialists. They're based in Coburg. They got a large range of all the major brands. So if you want to do a bit of a price comparison and help out one of our sponsors, they'll match prices. So if you want to get your sticks and have a bit of a hit, especially when spring's just around the corner, make sure you head to clubtechgolf.com.au. And you'll always get 10% off if you mention Little Birdie. So make sure you check them out. They're a great group of blokes. Big Daddy's up next, and we'll see his take. Welcome back to the Open Championship podcast. I'm your host, Scoot, and I got Toprope with Flick Mike Caridi. But tell you what, we've brought in the super sub in Big Daddy. He's like a Ricky Ponting. He's just come out swinging. Big Daddy, how are you, brother?
Yeah, good, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm a little bit nervous because you've been listening in the background, which is unusual. You're usually a busy man, but you've heard all our fibs, our BS and all our diatribe, and I just need you to straighten the wheels and tell us the error of our ways.
Well, if you want to start on live golf.
Let's go.
Look, there's a lot of controversy, and Tiger's come out and sort of had a go at Greg. My personal opinion is on this is that, being an ex-professional golfer and playing overseas, when you make the transition from amateur golf to professional golf and you're trying to do that for a living, my personal opinion is that your goal is to play the biggest tournament you possibly can every single week of the year. So at the moment, the biggest purses are the Live Tour. Now, they haven't been able to come to an agreement with the PGA Tour and the European Tour, and I think they have with the Asian Tour. But I know it's not carrying any world ranking points, but you have entering golf as a touring professional. Your goal is to set up one day, hopefully, your retirement and provide for your family. And these guys have now got the opportunity to do so, particularly some young players coming up. So I don't know how you could possibly ever knock that back. And there's certain things I don't agree with Live Golf in terms of 54-hole formats and, teams. It's something different, but it's not the traditional format of golf, and I don't sort of agree with that. So hopefully they can come together and work out something. I think it'd be great for the game, sort of having a reduced amount of tournaments like that, and hopefully it can sort of carry world ranking points. I think if they do endorse that, then look out, I think we'll see a lot more players play it.
I did hear some sort of labour pains from some of the PGA golfers saying that the schedule was a bit laborious and they were sort of over golf. And when you look at the NBA, I think some of the big players only get through 75 or 80% or even 60% of the games on the NBA circuit. Like, to back up and play all the PGA Tour, you'd be absolutely buggered, I would have thought, and less time with families. And I think you hit the nail on the head. There's so many young guys that you hear these stories about sleeping in their cars and all these pros that have got not much money and they need sponsors to get them up to the mark. It's I think it's a no-brainer. I think we all agree that the cash and the opportunity is there, but hopefully they can nail, I guess, the right sort of format. And yeah, as you say, the shortened version may not make too much sense, but I'm sure once they iterate and they can get this right, and fingers crossed we can see it down under and support some of the Aussie talent, because we know how deadly they can become. Big Daddy, do you approach, I guess it's over the other side of the pond, do you approach the Open Championship different as the last major to, I guess, the big ones?
I do if weather conditions are forecast to be terrible. The weather forecast this week look to be fairly benign. There's a little bit of rain around, I think, Thursday, Friday, but the winds aren't extreme. And if it's going to be very windy, you've got to, as Mike said, you've got to have a look at the tide, because at St Andrews, the wind can be very dependent on the tide. For example, Tiger said in, I think, 95 when he played there the first time, that he played every hole into the wind. So, the only reason that happened is that he got stuck during his round when the tide changed and the wind changed, and that can happen. The wind, it looks like it's going to be fairly benign, but you never know. They'll get a better idea later in the week of how the weekend's going to play with the weather, and I'll be keeping an eye on that. It's something you do have to really keep a close eye on, particularly when you're betting in the run. So if anyone's out there sort of ringing up bookmakers and having a bet, you definitely want to be having a look what the wind's doing and what the conditions are doing, and keep following it throughout the week. Try and stay one step ahead of the game, because if conditions are benign in the morning, players are more, it's conducive to low scoring, so they're more likely to go out and have a lower score. And, if the wind's going to really get up in the afternoons, they're going to pull back. Those players in the afternoon are going to be less likely to shoot lower scores. St Andrews has changed a little bit. They've lengthened, I think, the 8th hole. From back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the bunkers have got a little bit deeper. They used to be a little bit shallower. So, there's a couple of little changes, but in general, if the wind's down, I know the course is going to be playing a little bit firm, but the course is generally conducive to good scoring if it's benign.
Yeah, that's what the guys suggested off air before we kicked off the show. They're expecting maybe huge scoring, so a real attacking type of golf, and players that make too many bogeys, sort of like a Tyrrell Hatton, one of Nick Tedeschi's love child. If you make too many bogeys, you could just put yourself out of play. It's the guys that are going to post aggressive scores here that are more likely to win. Be interested to see if we can get Tristan to do an under-over line of a winning score and see if we can pull his pants down on one of those. That'd be a good cheer to cheer points. So it's always fun when you cheer the over, and it's just high scoring. All right, let's get down to let's talk about Rory and Matt Fitzpatrick. I know that they're at the pointy end of your model. Are you going to be stepping into Rory McIlroy? Obviously, Dogga thinks he's going to be well suited. Toprope can't quite have him at the price, but what can you say about Rory?
I have to have a saver on Rory because he's on my model. As you know, I handicap the whole field. I'm essentially like a handicapper, and I give him a stroke average. Rory's averaging 68.71 on mine. At any time they're averaging that, you have to throw them in as a saver at least, because he's just playing so well. He hasn't won a major in a long time, and I don't know whether Rory wants it too bad. He seems to get himself in a position where he can contend, and it's been a long time since he's won a major. And does he just want it too bad? Sometimes that can happen, but yeah, he's definitely the hottest player in the world right now, I think.
And someone like Matt Fitzpatrick, do you think he can go back-to-back majors?
Yeah, I think if conditions get a little bit difficult, Matt being a European player, I like the European players in the British Open. They've grown up playing in the conditions. They understand them well. Rory's grown up playing in Ireland. Matt, he's looks like he's a pretty good win player. I think he can go back to back, but I'd be favouring Rory over Matt, definitely.
And then I did notice Seamus Power seems to be a big price based on your ratings. He's fallen into your top 25. He ticks the boxes. A European, is he your best roughie?
He's one of my best roughies. JT Poston's my biggest one. Cameron Young, Seamus Power, Sung Jae Im's good. Keegan Bradley's good. He's been playing well. Corey Connors is good, and Billy Horschel's good. They're big overs. I'll be sort of having maybe a small play on them with some of the bookies and see where it goes.
I see Cam Smith's in the mix in your top 25, but a player that's sort of somewhat forgotten, and he's a big live man, is someone like Dustin Johnson. He's performed reasonably well in the past. Is he suited to this style? He's a big bomber, and he can sort of get a bit hot with a putter. Why can't Dustin Johnson have a good round this week?
He can, but he doesn't even come into my top 25 at the moment. So for me, he's my best lay. He's sort of up towards that pointy end of the market. I think he's about $38 or between 33 and 38. But he is just not the player that he was a couple of years ago. He's playing nowhere near it. So I can't have him at all.
So how would you say is going to be your best result looking deep in the market? Is it going to be someone like Matt Fitzpatrick or a Cam Smith or I see Justin Tom?
If any of the top my model, if any of the top 7 players win, it's a break-even result. So that's Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick, Scotty Scheffler, Shane Lowry, Justin Thomas, Cameron Smith, Xander Schauffele, and even Will Zalatoris. If any of those players win, it'll be a break-even result. I think the market's very accurate in pricing this based off what I've got on my model. But then after that, you start to see a couple of big overs, and if any of those get up, it'll be a huge result. And that's Billy Horschel, not Sam Burns, he'll be okay, but Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley, Seamus Power, Sun Jae In, Cameron Young, and JT Poston. If any of those guys win, it'll be massive.
Toprope, you're just a bit of nodding. You're a little bit happy. It's tickled you downstairs, hasn't it? Big Daddy's model. It's similar to the way you're thinking.
Well, I always love Big Daddy's model, particularly when we get to kind of the wide ones. But very happy to hear, Corey Connors, Sun Jae, Seamus Power all mentioned there. Just interested in a couple other ones, Big Daddy, that you might have there. Just look at some couple of European Tour players. If you kind of concede there any hope in terms of kind of relative to the market, Ryan Fox, Dean Burmester, Jordan Smith, are they kind of overs, unders on your model?
Look, Ryan Fox is a very good, consistent player from New Zealand. To me, he's been doing very, very well in Europe. He hasn't quite moved up into the upper echelon of making my top 25, but he's a player that I like watching him mentally. He's a player that he plays like he's not scared.
He doesn't get rattled at all, does he?
He doesn't get rattled. He's very consistent in his demeanour. And he looks like he plays like he's not scared, and I love that. I don't like watching players that look like they get scared under pressure, and that's what scares the bejesus out of me with Xander Schauffele. When he gets in the big majors and he gets in the heat, I just have this gut feeling he's going to do something just horrific that's just going to make me shake my head and go, well, I can't believe he just did that. You know?
He does.
A little bit like when he lived in the water on 16 at Augusta, just way less. It's just hard to back a guy again. And I know that's going to stick in the back of his head, because when he gets into the heat of the battle again, he's now got to overcome that fear. And I just can't back him when he does stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I know lots of pro punters have got little notes on their monitors, because everyone usually has a couple of monitors, and some have got don't lose, don't do anything stupid. And I'm tipping Xander's got that just imprinted in his mind, and I think he'd just have a little bit of a whoopsie, and we've seen it so many times. And I hate talking through my kick, but if you've watched golf for the last 2 years, you know what Xander's capable of, and it's incredible to have him that short in the market. And I think Dogga putting the pen through. If Xander wins 3 times in a row, you deserve to lose, I would have thought. But let's have a quick look.
Matt Fitzpatrick, Scoot's very gutsy. He has a will to win, and back when I was trading on the European Tour a little bit doing the golf, he really, really hurt me in play, like when he was coming through on the European Tour, because, you know, he just sort of pokes it around, and he has added a lot of length to his game now, but he just sticks around, and I call him a pest, because he sticks around and he just waits for his opportunities, and then he just has this will to win, like what we saw in the US Open.
I know he doesn't look at, when you look at him kind of from his physical demeanour point of view, but he is as hard-nosed as any player out there, Matt Fitzpatrick, and you can kind of tell that he came up not from a life of privilege and life of playing golf in good California weather. He grew up playing tough golf, with a kind of hard edge to him in Sheffield. I think he's done remarkably well. It's spot on for mine. He's a pest. He's absolute joy to watch, Matt Fitzpatrick. Like, other than the cross-handed chipping, it's everything about him is kind of I didn't have a Zach on him in the US Open. I couldn't have been cheering him much harder.
So that's what it was, cheering against Zalatoris. Yeah, it was absolutely sickening just to watch him steal it out there. He's definitely got all the attributes to be around for a really long time. It's going to be interesting to see how he copes. And again, if that wind picks up in the final day, he's definitely a player that's going to really contend, because from the weather report that I've seen, it's that last day the wind might get up. So as Dogga said, you can just continually trade for that final day. I know Toprope does it too, and Big Daddy's just renowned for his in-play trading on golf and various other things also. But I think it's time for TopSport's early bets, which are somewhere aligned to a couple of the early picks. We've heard Dogga have Justin Thomas as his best way. So there's a TopSport early bet here of $500 at $21 on JT. And then we've got Xander Schauffele. Someone must have backed him last start, playing up their winnings, $500 at 21. And then you've got some money for Ryan Fox, which is interesting. So that's $100 at 121, and now he's into 75 with TopSport. So fascinating stuff there. And the good thing about this podcast, it might be our last major, but Big Daddy's going to have his ratings for 4 of the biggest tournaments remaining. So this week there's 1, and then there's 3 more after that. So events like the FedEx and things like that. So there's still time to jump on board. So make sure you head to littlebirdie.live and get Big Daddy's golf ratings, and we'll pop that in an email, and we'll send it out later today, and we'll send out a second sweep of that before they kick off tomorrow. But I think that's all from me, and I'll make sure we post a summary of everyone's tips in the good Discord channel if you haven't got time to listen to the full podcast, or if you just want a copy of everyone's tips. But a big thanks to Big Daddy and Toprope for their work all year, and it's good fun, these Open Championships, and make sure you just give yourself a little bit of room to trade out, have a little bit extra on, a couple of picks, back a couple. They're at really big odds. Some of these things, stay away from the shorties in the market, and hopefully we've got you something running for the last day. It's going to be great watching, and it's good time zone, this one. You can put it on in the afternoon and evening, and just make sure you get far away from the missus and kids. But big thanks from me to you, Toprope. You've sacrificed Origin so you can stay home and watch the golf. Too smart.
Sacrificed Origin. Got to deal with the wrath of Nicky Sylvester soon enough. But it's a great week. Coverage starts, I think, 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. Thursday afternoon for those listening late. But it's going to be fantastic. My only concern is how many ridiculous 3-ball trebles and doubles I'm going to burn cash on.
You're so sick. All right, Big Daddy. Good luck over the weekend, and good luck on the punt this week.
Righto. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, guys. Make sure if you're having a bet and you want to have a decent bet, make sure you check out TopSport. They are Australia's biggest betting bookie. Bet where all the pros bet. The Millihan family have been in the game for 35 years. They're not fly by the night. They're legit. So if you want to get down for a massive collect, they'll take you on. And they're crazy bookmakers. I've spoken to Tristan. I spoke to him when the US Masters was open, and I think they don't mind taking a set against someone if they think they're a little bit short at the halfway point or into the final round. They'll sit there and they'll take block and take some big bets, which is absolutely crazy, but it's why we love them. So make sure you check out TopSport and give them a go this weekend on all the golf. That's a wrap from us, and we'll see you at the next major next year. Crazy. Thanks, guys.